Logan, let's get divorced. For years of dating, 5 years of marriage, on our wedding anniversary dinner, Logan brushed aside my pleas and strode out the door to the side piece he keeps in a downtown loft. When he came back, he calmly asked me for a divorce. He said, "Chloe's pregnant. I can't let my child be born without a home." He said, "I just want a child so badly. I want to be a father more than anything." He said, "Sophia, I still love you. If you're willing to accept this baby, we don't have to divorce." I didn't hesitate for a second. I agreed to the divorce. Ridiculous. I'll have my own child one day. Why on earth would I grovel to be some stepmother? When the lights flickered softly as I stared at the messages from my husband's side piece he keeps in a downtown loft, my whole heart slowly turned to ice. Barren old hag, why won't you let go of my sugar daddy? He says if you'd stop clinging he'd have divorced you ages ago. Word is tonight's your wedding anniversary dinner. Care to bet one call from me and sugar daddy will dump you on the spot? Sugar daddy's on his way. He says he doesn't love you anymore. Old hag, please, just let him go. I'm pregnant. My gaze settled on that final line, and the mockery in my eyes deepened. Logan and I had met in our youth, survived the toughest school years side by side, supporting and encouraging each other, then enrolled at the same university. We were each other's first love. We dated through college and married right after graduation. For 5 years I believed we were each other's only, that we would grow old together in mutual devotion. In the end it still finished with cheating and betrayal. 2 hours later Logan pushed open the door, exhaustion clinging to him. I sat on the sofa, swallowed by darkness. You had to admit Logan was strikingly handsome, and he knew how to draw women, only. I clutched the shredded pieces of the report I'd meant to show him tonight. Now there was no need. This time Logan came straight to the point. He stepped inside, looked at me on the sofa, and spoke evenly, "Let's divorce." I had foreseen this outcome. I nodded without the slightest hesitation. Perhaps my ready agreement stunned him. He stood frozen. After a long pause he spoke, voice hoarse, "I'm sorry. She's pregnant, she's so young, I can't let her be a single mother. Xiao Yao, you understand, don't you? Understand? Understand my foot." When I stayed silent he turned affectionate, "Xiao Yao, I love you. But Chloe's pregnant, I have to take responsibility." Pregnant? Responsibility? The words were so absurd I almost laughed. A married man, ignoring duty to his wife and marriage, instead claiming responsibility for the woman he cheated with and his love child. I stared, wide-eyed, studying him. Cold moonlight lay across his shoulders. Apart from fatigue his face showed only indifference. Nothing like the gentle, cultivated man I used to know. Somewhere along the line he had changed. He was no longer the boy who panicked when I cried and saw no one but me. I gave a soft, mocking laugh. Whatever nerve I touched, it hurt. His breathing shortened, the telltale sign he was angry. "If you're willing to be a stepmother to Chloe's baby, we don't have to divorce. We could bring the child home and tell everyone we adopted." Stepmother? Ha, nice fantasy. I laughed, voice dripping sarcasm. Stepmother? And what exactly becomes of Chloe then? Logan froze. He really had no answer for that. Wanting his cake and eating it too, I felt as if I were meeting him for the first time. "Logan, when did you get so shameless? Besides, are you blind?" "I've been nodding until my neck hurts." He stared at me a long moment, then suddenly smiled. "I know you. You're jealous, that's why you're angry. After all, you love me so much." His eyes grew brighter, as if convinced this was the truth. I shook my head with a bitter smile. Once, I had loved him deeply. We met in the best yet cruelest years of high school. Back then I was timid, always shrinking into the back row, speaking to no one. My grades were good, but my unlikable personality meant I had no friends, fuel for the malice of classmates. They scrawled graffiti across my desk whenever the teacher left the room. On the days it was my turn to clean they flung my books across the floor, then fetched the teacher to claim I'd shirked duty and harmed class honor. After I was punished they'd gather, grinning, eyes contemptuous as I picked up the trash again and again. When they were in a bad mood they locked me in the abandoned equipment room of the adjacent building. I told myself I only had to endure 3 years, then I'd escape these devils. Until one day they trapped me in the girls' restroom, tearing at my clothes to film me. In that moment of powerless despair I wanted to die. I pulled out the little knife I secretly carried for defense and decided to die with them. I knew once I used it my dawn would turn to darkness. But I had no choice. A sapling crushed beyond repair can't take root again. I shut my eyes and rushed at them, ready to die. That was when Logan appeared. Like a god he dropped into my world and snatched me from the fire. He beat the bullies and warned them, I was under his protection. From that day a light appeared in my life, and I chased that light without looking back. After that, Logan gained a little shadow. Wherever he went I followed, all the way through high school, straight to the same university. Later, the little shadow became his wife. Now, the little shadow was about to bid the sunshine goodbye. I was too tired to explain any further. Calmly, I pulled the divorce papers from behind my back. The instant Logan saw the document, his pupils contracted violently. His lips parted, hunting for words, but a jaunty ringtone sliced through the silence, cute, tinkling, as bubbly as the 19-year-old who owned it. Pick up, husband, why aren't you picking up, husband? Hearing another woman call him husband while his legal wife stood right there was more than even Logan's armor-plated shame could absorb. A guilty flush crawled up his cheeks. I never budged from the sofa. I simply watched him answer. I didn't bother to listen to the call. A minute later he hung up, complexion ashen. We're getting divorced tomorrow. Exactly what I wanted. I nodded, stood, and walked back to the bedroom. The next day dawned cloudless. I was up early, everything already packed. I put on light makeup, the same understated look I'd worn on our wedding day. Logan's car idled downstairs. I opened the door and Chloe greeted me with a bright smile. Hi, big sis. Sugar daddy was afraid the back seat's too bumpy for the baby. Hope you don't mind riding up front. I couldn't be bothered with her childish theatrics. Ignoring her, I moved toward the rear door. The back seat was crammed with formula, bottles, strollers, an entire infant department store. When I tugged the door open, the whole avalanche clattered to the pavement. Oops, Chloe chirped, eyes sparkling with fake innocence. Sugar daddy went wild at the mall this morning and the trunk was full, so we piled everything here. Back seat's unusable now. You'll have to grab a cab, sis. I looked at the formula can rolling against my shoe, and laughed. I marched to the trunk, pulled out the tire iron, and swung it straight through the passenger window. Get out, I said coldly. Chloe's face drained of color. A beat later she shrieked, Sophia, have you lost your mind? I slid the iron through the shattered glass and tapped it lightly against her belly. Two choices. Get out, or. I let the metal rest on the baby bump. She understood instantly. I'd expected more sneering. Instead her voice cracked, eyes brimming. Please, sis, I'm begging you, hurt me however you want, but spare the baby. It's sugar daddy's only child. Even before she finished, I knew the script. Sure enough, pain flared in my shoulder and I was hurled sideways. Logan stood between us, one hand cradling Chloe's stomach. Are you okay, Snow? Any pain? Anything? Chloe's eyes reddened, she whimpered like a scolded kitten. My tummy hurts, sugar daddy. The moment he heard that, Logan scooped her into his arms. We're going to the hospital. I'd shifted just in time, the toss had only staggered me. Watching them, I realized I felt absolutely nothing. Logan paused long enough to glare pure hatred. If anything happens to Snow, I'll make you pay. I tapped the tire iron against my palm. It's 11:30. The county clerk's office closes at noon. Sure you want to spend the next half hour in an ER, husband? Chloe's triumphant smile froze. I gave her a thin, mocking curve of my own. You could always back out. Then Snow and her baby stay a lifelong mistress and love child. Logan spun around, stunned. When did you become this vicious, Sophia? She's still a kid, how can you expose her to gossip like that? Midday foot traffic had thickened, a few neighbors loitered, strangers pointed. I don't know the details, but look how pale that poor girl is, she's clearly the victim. Whatever happened, you don't strike a child, family or not. She's holding a metal bar, some triad craziness? Someone call 911. The chorus denounced me while Chloe basked. Her lips shaped silent words I read easily, barren old witch. I slammed the tire iron into the asphalt. Fine. I shouted once the crowd quieted. When you dial 911, add an ambulance, this tiny girl just sobbed to my husband, darling, my stomach, think I'm miscarrying. I'm no martyr, I won't shield the people who cuckolded me. The onlookers detonated. In seconds the tide turned. So he's the cheater and she's the mistress, nothing to see, folks. Teen homewrecker deserves worse, hope she loses the kid, see how smug she is then. Looks like she skipped class to steal someone's husband, disgusting. Chloe's face blanched with every slap of the word mistress. She bit her lip, tears swimming, on the verge of bawling. I'm not a homewrecker, Chloe said, voice trembling as she looked at Logan. Logan stroked her hair with a pitying touch, then spun around and roared at me, Sophia, can you stop making a scene? Do you have to drive Snow to her death before you're satisfied? You're a university lecturer yourself, where's your capacity to tolerate people? How can your mind be this narrow? You're a lecturer too, yet you still pull something this filthy, I shot back, coldly sarcastic. Logan choked on the retort. After a long pause he squeezed out, no matter how angry you are, you can't spread lies about snow. Lies? I laughed from sheer fury. What lies? That the two of you never slept together, or that the baby in her belly isn't yours? If it isn't, then I withdraw the divorce papers, because either way she's not your mistress. Logan prizes his reputation above everything, saying this in front of so many people was more than he could bear. And there was no denying he and Chloe were together, that the child was his. He fell silent. Chloe's face went bloodless with panic. She tugged his sleeve. Sugar daddy, don't fight with big sis. It's all my fault. If I hadn't been drugged that night, you wouldn't have slept with me to save me, and I wouldn't be pregnant. It's my fault. Go home, don't divorce her, make peace with big sis. Chloe turned to flee in tears. Logan caught her arm. Where do you think you're going? She's the one who should leave. He pointed at me. Sophia, in 5 years of marriage you never got pregnant, and you kept pushing me to get tested, hinting I was the problem. I've wanted a divorce for ages. Today, with snow here, let's go file the papers right now. Divorce was exactly what I'd been praying for. Without a second's hesitation I yanked open the driver's door, started the engine, and drove my window-shattered little car straight to the county clerk's office. I'd bought this car before marrying Logan. And it was entirely my property, so he had nothing to say about it. I drove fast. I reached the clerk's door a full 5 minutes before Logan and Chloe arrived in a taxi. With only minutes to spare we filed the paperwork. Next came the 30-day cooling-off period. After that, we'd be completely free. Outside the building Logan glanced at me several times as if he wanted to speak. I didn't even look at him. I climbed back into my battered car and drove off. Want a ride? In your dreams. While waiting at a red light, my phone rang. Caleb, my college classmate. Busy woman, got time to grace me with a call? His voice was low, smooth, magnetic. I held the phone a little farther from my ear to blunt the sonic assault and answered lightly, I'm pulling out a project. Project was the high-tech venture Logan was fronting. From day one it had drawn every eye in the industry. Once completed, the returns would be limitless, and Logan's name would be written in bold across the RD skyline. The line went quiet, only his calm breathing remained. Then, concise as always, he asked, reason? Outsiders thought Logan led the research, but every insider knew the real brains had always been his wife, Sophia. Every key engineer on the core team was from her group. Logan was little more than a figurehead. We divorced, I said, just as terse. He cheated, the baby's already a month along. I'm no saint. I can't pretend nothing happened and keep polishing his halo with my work. Besides, I'm curious to see what dazzling results Logan can produce once I'm gone. But, Caleb hesitated, this study has cost you oceans of effort. With the money and manpower poured in, the investors won't accept a withdrawal. Aren't you the biggest investor? I teased. If you sign off, the rest don't get a vote. Caleb snorted a laugh. So you keep fleecing your old classmate? Ah, Sophia, you're my tribulation, he sighed. Fine, walk away. I'll clean up the mess, pay what needs paying, explain W. Hat needs explaining. I'd never heard Caleb play the clown before, it was oddly amusing. After a chuckle I decided to stop tormenting him. You think I'm the kind who walks without finishing? His tone sharpened. What do you mean? You should have received a flash drive. Open it. The moment I learned of Logan's betrayal I resolved to stop carrying him. Caleb had indeed received a flash drive, unsure of its contents, he hadn't touched it. Now he gave an admiring laugh. Sophia, you're incredible. Logan will regret losing you. Whether Logan regrets anything no longer interests me. But my team has given too much to this project. I can be reckless with myself, not with the comrades who fought beside me. Any requirements? He asked after his laughter subsided. That's why I like working with smart people. I pulled to the curb and watched the traffic flow, glimpsing my past self in the stream of cars. Announce my withdrawal only after the divorce is final. Keep the process transparent and fair, don't let incompetent hacks slip in to take credit. For back home, I changed the entry code the instant I walked through the door. Logan was the guilty party. Yesterday's divorce papers were clear, the townhouse was mine, the rest of our assets would be split 60-40. I could have sued for everything, but after so many years I chose not to burn the bridge completely. In the middle of the night came a knock. Half asleep, I emailed him the electronic copy of the agreement. The world went quiet again. Approval for my withdrawal came through quickly, thanks to Caleb's backstage maneuvering. I met no resistance. August was summer break, once free of project, I enjoyed rare idle days. 10 days before the cooling off period ended, Logan showed up once. I'd already changed the biometric lock, so he could only stand outside. I'd been out at a party, and when I came back I found him crouched in front of my building. His face was bloodless, the skin under his eyes so bruised it looked as if he hadn't slept in days, and the white shirt that was usually pressed to military perfection was a crumpled mess. He lifted his head at the sound of my steps, and when he saw me a flicker of hope darted across his eyes. He scrambled to his feet, but halfway up the color drained from his face again and he pitched forward onto the pavement. I gave him a single glance, then kept walking. Wife, Logan's voice cracked as he grabbed my ankle in panic. I frowned down at him and said coldly, Sterling, please call me Sophia. Pain flashed across Logan's eyes. Does it have to be like this? We haven't even, before he could say the word divorced, I cut him off. I'm sure you don't want Summers hospitalized again with another threatened miscarriage brought on by emotional stress? Logan's face froze, he let go of my ankle and awkwardly drew his hand back. I walked on, cleared the elevator, and let myself into the 10th floor unit. I'd barely cracked the door when an arm shot through the gap. We need to talk. Logan had wedged his hand between door and frame in a last ditch, nothing left to lose move. If I wouldn't talk, I wouldn't get inside either. I hesitated for a second, then stepped back and allowed him in. I already knew why he had come. The team had always resented the way he attached his name to every research report without doing an ounce of real work. Before, they'd swallowed it for my sake. Now that he'd knocked up his mistress and I was about to leave him, they weren't even pretending to be polite. Did you put them up to this? Logan's tone was low. I played dumb. Up to what? You really don't know? I let my bewilderment show. Know what? My eyes were too sincere. After a moment his gaze faltered, and he began haltingly. The past few days the whole crew's been coming in late, leaving early, dragging their feet in the lab. It's been almost 2 weeks and we haven't moved an inch. You know how critical this project is, so. He wet his lips and shot me a look. Why don't you come back? They've worked under you for years, if you're there they won't dare slack off. I blew across my mug of boiled water until steam no longer rose, then said flatly, I've already quit the project. You can rejoin. Logan reached for my hand in desperation. I stepped back just in time and gave him a pleasant smile. Do you think the project is my living room? I walk out when I'm bored and breeze back in when I feel like it? His hand hung in midair, the eager grin congealing on his face. You could bring the staff lunch, drop a few hints, just as my wife. I stared at him as if he were an idiot. Seek medical help. Seriously. Or talk to them for me, this project means everything to me. I shoved him toward the door, patience exhausted. Whether it matters to you is none of my business. Don't come here again. I pushed him into the hallway. He resisted until I pulled out my phone and threatened to call building security. Only then did he leave. He couldn't afford the humiliation. I wanted no part of his mess, but remembering we hadn't yet collected our divorce certificates, and afraid some last-minute snag might surface, I called a couple of team members and asked them to ease off until the divorce was finalized. 5 early next morning Logan, eyes still bloodshot, watched the same people stroll in on time, throw themselves into experiments, and push every milestone forward. He nodded, satisfied. He knew Sophia wouldn't abandon him, she loved him too much. 2 days later his mother showed up, Chloe rubbing her tiny bump as she trailed behind. They rang my bell, remembering the last scene, I didn't open. Eleanor started polite. When I still refused, she unleashed a torrent of abuse, jinx, barren hen, every ugly phrase she could muster. Inside, earphones in, I binge-watched a drama and hummed along. Shout yourself hoarse, the louder now, the darker the fall later. When the season ended, silence lay outside. A neighbor later told me Eleanor had ranted until she ran out of breath and collapsed on the ground. No one helped. After that tirade they knew she was trouble. The girl with her did nothing. Eventually a security guard dialed 911. I only smiled, but inside I thought, serves her right. Eleanor had never liked me. After my parents divorced, neither wanted custody, sending only a monthly check. I might as well have been an orphan. They skipped my wedding, she found that disqualifying. In her eyes Logan was a phoenix among men who deserved an heiress, not a nobody with no family and no dowry. After the wedding she'd done nothing but glower. The first years stayed petty. Once it became clear I wasn't getting pregnant, she showed her claws. Everything I did was wrong, and when she was in a foul mood she hurled insults. Mostly I'd endured, snapping back only rarely. Logan always calmed me down. Thank God we lived apart. Looking back, Logan's infidelity had been foreseeable. A man who never took your side couldn't possibly stay faithful. 6 At last the day came to pick up the divorce certificates. The weather was perfect, 2 days of rain had washed the city, and now as a sky arched above, soft autumn wind spiraling leaves through the air. Logan and Chloe arrived together. After the calls he'd made, Logan's days had been packed. His shirt was still rumpled, but he looked energized. The paperwork went without a hitch. When I stepped outside, I stared at the cloudless sapphire sky and sucked in a lungful of air. Free, finally. I lifted a bright smile and started to leave, only to hear an obnoxious voice slice through the moment. Sophia, where are you going? My husband can give you a ride if you'd like. The voice was syrupy, pretending at innocence. She thought she'd nailed the act, the malice underneath leaked anyway. I pivoted, glanced at the hand hooked through Logan's arm, and gave a short laugh. No thanks, I've got a car. I pressed the key fob, and a brand new BMW FL. Ashed its welcome. Logan's gaze locked on the emblem, his face darkening. Xiaoyao, where'd you get the money for that? I didn't bother hiding anything. I arched a brow and smiled. Sold the townhouse, of course. Logan's complexion went black in a heartbeat, and Chloe's expression curdled. She bit her lip. Sis, how could you sell my husband's house? I smiled, cold and mocking. My apologies, but that property now belongs to me, completely. I can sell it, keep it, or gut it for a cat sanctuary, and you have zero say. You, Chloe thrust a trembling finger at me. Oh, and please stop saying my husband every 2 seconds. People might misunderstand. After all, you don't have a marriage certificate, just a belly, and a baby who'll be born into scandal. Chloe burst into theatrical sobs and spun toward Logan to tattle. He frowned at me. Xiaoyao, I know the divorce makes you angry, but Chloe and the baby are innocent. Remarks like that are cruel. You can't argue with idiots, you'll catch the stupidity. So I ignored them and walked off. 2 steps later I paused, a strange glint flashing in my eyes. I turned back, looked at Chloe's bump, and spoke lazily. Genuinely hope you two stay locked together, no matter what. I let the pause hang. Don't ever split. I left without seeing the turmoil in Logan's gaze or the terror blooming in Chloe's. 7 Once inside the BMW, I speed dialed my team. Phase 1, execute. Logan, this project was never yours. Now I'm reclaiming everything that is. One by one, my researchers filed resignation letters, and the lab emptied. With no personnel, investors yanked funding until the pipeline collapsed for lack of money or manpower. That night I caught a nonstop to Bayview. Word was Logan searched for me until dawn. He showed up at the townhouse we'd shared and discovered the deed already bore a stranger's name. He tried to call, blocked. He held on the sidewalk below our old balcony until Chloe and Eleanor came to drag him away. Only when Chloe clutched her stomach and fainted did the farce end. Sophia, did you hear? Logan and Chloe got married. Yeah, and the university booted Chloe for misconduct, while the board fired Logan. Karma's a laser cutter, clean and brutal. My junior lab mate ranted, cheeks flushed. I nodded. Sleeping with a student while married? They earned every shard of their wreckage. Half a year slipped past, and I remembered, Chloe would deliver soon. The revelation still hadn't dropped. Too busy. Product launch, iteration loop, my calendar was packed. Then Logan cornered me outside the convention center, eyes red with complicated grief, mouth opening, closing. I lifted my phone and dialed Chloe before he could speak. Shrieking erupted from the speaker, chaos crackled down the line. Minutes later she waddled up, grabbed his sleeve, and tugged. He resisted. In the scuffle Chloe hit the pavement, blood pooling beneath her. Her face blanched, Logan panicked, lifted her, and raced to the ER. The baby came that night, a boy, fairly healthy. While the family cooed over the newborn, an envelope arrived, azoospermia report. That was the news I'd tried to share months earlier, back when we were still wife and husband, when I meant to say, we'll face this together, we'll adopt, love makes a family. But his affair cut the sentence short. I am not magnanimous. I collect every debt. Logan demanded a paternity test. Result, the child wasn't his. In an instant, Chloe lost every sterling privilege. Logan filed for divorce, Chloe refused. She actually argued, you'll never father a child. Keep this one, call him yours. The kid's not your blood, but I'm your real wife. Eleanor and her husband were hospitalized from sheer rage. Logan slumped in a corner, howling. He regrets it now. If he hadn't succumbed to temptation, he wouldn't be unemployed, abandoned, raising another man's son, sterile for life. Sterling Dynasty, cratered. Meanwhile, I laced my fingers through Caleb's and boarded the jet to Bayview. A month ago he confessed a decade-long devotion. I said yes. Life moves forward. I won't punish myself for someone else's sins. My horizon is still expanding, and the best is yet to come.